Oh, wow, 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 wow. We have Jimmy Carter passes on at 100, exactly 100 years old. He passes on. I think the wife passed on not too long ago, too. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Please don't quote me on that.
yeah.
Uh,
She passed on 2003.
okay, 2023, 23, right?
Yes,
Okay,
2023. Yes,
right, right,
2020.
right. Okay, so Jimmy Carter is he's probably the only living president
And
from
before the wife passed on, they actually celebrated the 75th anniversary of their marriage.
75. Ha,
Yes,
ha. Anyway, so a quick
they met.
catch up.
They met as good good bodies and what have you in planes,
Mm-hmm,
Georgia, 1945, and
mm-hmm.
then they locked the deal and got married 1946.
Right, right. So just in case you're under a rock, you don't know who we're talking about, James Earl Carter Jr. was an American politician, humanitarian who served as the 39th President of the United States from 1977 to 1981. So I'm looking at a report here on his legacy with regards to. I'm going to give you this, and I'll give you the floor, sir. According to CNN, Jimmy Carter, who served a single full presidential term without the chance to appoint a Supreme Court justice, nonetheless left behind an incomparable judicial legacy. He was the first president to significantly diversify the lower federal courts by appointing female and minority judges, a point that the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg often touted. Carter named Ginsburg to an important Washington based U.S. Court of Appeals in 1980, which positioned her for eventual elevation to the Supreme Court. I know you have some other things you wanted to share with us with regards
Yeah,
to legacy.
yeah. Would you also let us recall and celebrate him for one declaration he made? Upon
Mm-hmm.
assuming the presidency of the United States of America, he
Mm-hmm.
declared segregation is now over, gone for good. That was, this is the man who was able to put the nail on the coffin of Jim Crow. Jim Crow. That is segregation, all forms of racial discrimination. He did it firmly and effectively. Now, uh, if you are wondering that you are in Africa tonight and you are watching us, and
Mm-hmm.
that everything about your cradle, your pedigree, smacks of something somebody ought to be sorry about. There have been great people. The greatest of all, Jesus Christ. But even in our time, Jimmy Carter is an eloquent testimony of that kind of situation. Because when he
Mm-hmm.
was growing up in Plains, Georgia, in that small town, they had no running water. There was no electricity. He knew poverty as anybody wouldn't even want to talk about it. And he rose through all that, became a peanut farmer, and then still, accomplished so much. But let me also tell you,
Mm-hmm.
some of us came from backgrounds that you would not believe. For example, growing up in Ayede Ogbese, I never believed that I would become a journalist at any point. That would have the good fortune of asking Jimmy Carter a critical question in 1999. The Nigerian presidential election has just held. It has just held. If you ran into Jimmy Carter on the street of Nigeria, particularly at Hilton Hotel in Abuja, you would not believe that this was America's 39th president. He
Mm-hmm.
would carry his briefcase himself. I saw him. Not that anybody told me. No, I saw him. And when the election between now former President Olusegun Obasanjo
Mm-hmm.
and Olufalaye, who also ran on the ticket of APP-AD in those days, when
Mm-hmm.
it had concluded. And Jimmy Carter led the Carter Center's monitoring team to brief us in the media. I asked them the question. You and Olusegun Obasanjo are known to be very close. How objective would your scrutiny and report concerning this election? How do you think anybody will do it as being objective? And he brilliantly tackled my question. He did not tackle me, but he went for my question. And I saw in him a man that was humble, obeying, and completely humane. No wonder you look at his legacies, whether in joining other eminent personalities across the globe to drive the agenda for disaggregated South Africa, for coming out as one of the real leaders of the Western world to call the conflict between Palestine and Israel a situation of apartheid, and other legacies that this man fought and lived for. Is it habitat humanity? Honestly, there is nothing people like me can say, because in those days, whenever I saw briefs coming from Obasanjo Leadership Forum in Ota, of course, Jimmy Carter was listed as a trustee of that eminent study group. If you see Dr. Ruben Abati shining today, anybody overnight who want to also become a Dr. Ruben Abati, accomplished and celebrated journalist. Way back in those days, I was always monitoring his activities around the Obasanjo Leadership Forum. And Jimmy Carter was a commonplace. I love to look at him from the African peculiar eye. What he did in Africa concerning leaving the presidency after he'd been virtually blackmailed with the hostage issue of the conflict between the then Shah of Iran and Ayatollah Khomeini. And he was swept out of office. Out of office, he did not slip into limbo. He continued to operate kind of subtle diplomacy. He went to places where you would not imagine an American personality, talk less of a former president, to go. He understood the management of power, the subtle side of it. And finally, as a matter of tribute to him, Jimmy Carter lived probably, some of us do not love to see people from Democratic Party in the US as devout Christians. But combined Republican president, Democrat president in America, Jimmy Carter was more devout as a Christian than all of them that ever occupied that office, and the ones that probably will occupy the office in the future. You know, he was a simple Sunday school teacher, even with his congregation. As somebody that had fought the issue of legal blindness, glaucoma, for a very long time, as I was reaching out to individuals and organizations all over the world, the Carter Center in Atlanta was one such place that I also reached out to. And the kind of work they do, having to work against all forms of, not just river blindness, like people would want to narrow it down, all kinds of eye diseases. This man really lived a worthy life. At 100, he still voted in the last election, you know. He voted in the election that was there last month. Unfortunately, things did not go the same way. Majority, so many Americans would want, but Americans got the president they wanted to vote for. And Mr. Donald Trump, the newly elected president that will be sworn in January 20th, has paid tribute to the late Jimmy Carter in glowing terms. Very uncharacteristic of him. He has really eulogized him the way you would not even expect. And Joe Biden has also said so much. As somebody that was born in Africa that has now acquired American citizenship, honestly, somebody whose legacy I mean, let me say, Carter's legacy rubbed on me the day I had the privilege of joining other journalists to interview or to ask him questions in Abuja. I would live with that heritage. That is the thing I'm taking away from him, to ever be humble and understand that no matter how powerful we think we are, in the final analysis, we all are mere mortals. It's gone the way of all men now. May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Join the conversation in the chat. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, follow, turn up your notifications. Jimmy Carter, 1924 to 2024. May his soul rest
Yeah,
in
and for people who may want to know more about him, they can pick the biography of Shehu Shagari. They can look for the works, the original works of Jimmy Carter himself, an avid reader and accomplished writer. He wrote so many memoirs, and yeah, he was also very dexterous at carpentry. Very good man, very good leader, very good president. So worthy of the choice that Americans made when he was voted as president.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. And we'll be right back for other trending news around the world.